I am still reeling at the trash I heard when I was doing beat reviews a couple of months ago. I mean, I did hear some bangers, but for the most part, I was buried in more ass than being trapped in a 6x8 jail cell with India Love and Cooking with Kaya. And since I am gearing up to do another review stream soon, I want to make a little prep video that might help the fam fix their beats. Or, at the very least, I can point people with trash to this video because it's gonna cover most of the critical talking points. Speaking of which, let's start with the main one first. A lot of producers are what I like to call I don't use loops ass niggas, thinking it's some kind of badge of honor without understanding that this mentality hurts them in the long run.
Collaboration. Can you say collaboration?
Look, I love making my own samples. If you've ever seen more than one video on this channel, you know this. But I also love using loops too. There's a bunch of reasons why, but here are 3 really good ones. Loops are a powerful form of collaboration, they're a good way to save time in the beat making process, and they're an excellent method for bridging your weaknesses in beat making, namely melody making. You'll just be able to get more of these benefits when you use loops. Now, if you still want to be a I don't use loops ass nigga, hey, I'm not gonna hate you, my nigga, but
I am going to keep it a Bizzly Wizzly with you right now, gang. Whenever niggas gets talking about you ain't a real producer if you use loops, I really just be looking at them like these. Because what do you mean by that? But hey, take a look at this response and tell me this is not the most accurate statement you've ever read.
Anyways, to demonstrate the remaining 3 points in this video, I'm gonna be using a sample from my boy Piku. And you can find loops in a million places. Paid producer packs, free producer packs like my free 7-kit bundle in the first link in the description, Looperman for free royalty-free loops, Splice for paid royalty-free loops, and producer discords. Kyle Beats Discord is actually one of my favorites for this. There's hella sauce in there. The key takeaway is make your own melodies, but use loops too. It's a common practice, a natural part of music production, and it'll just make your beats better. But whether you're using a sample or making the melody from scratch in a particular session, there's something crucial for you to understand. Nothing is more tragic than hearing trash drums on a hard melody, brother. Don't ruin all your hard work making that fire sample by programming some bullshit ass drums. And brother, don't you dare put down some weak ass drums on another person's beautiful loop. Like bro, have some respect. Use the 16 drum kit, the Centerfold drum kit, and the Flower Boy drum kit. Those are the most quality drum samples you're gonna find anywhere. If you've never tried my drums, check out the free 7-kit bundle in the first link in the description. Inside, you'll find the 16 drum kit, and using it in your beats will bring an immediate professional quality to your sound. But for this beat, I mainly worked out of the Centerfold and Flower Boy drum kits. But the unfortunate fact of the matter is that hard drums won't save you if you aren't using them correctly. And I don't mean drum programming because we already talked about that in this video a couple of weeks ago. No, what I'm talking about here is arrangement. Many producers have super boring arrangements because they don't know drum programming determines your beat structure. If you want to make your beats more interesting, use variations in your drum programming to improve your arrangements. Organizing your layers, bringing things in and taking them out over time, that's definitely one part of it for sure. But what I'm talking about here is sort of changing the vibe and energy overall by switching the sounds that you're using. So for example, in this beat, I'm using sounds from Centerfold to go from super hard, high energy to a slower pace with a smoother vibe. As the energy transitions, you'll notice that I have many of the same types of sounds in both sections, but I use different samples to change the vibe. Now, the sad part of all of this is that you can do all of it and still end up with a trash sounding beat if you don't understand this one thing. thing. Muddiness in a mix always sticks out like a sore thumb in a bad beat. That's because most producers don't understand what causes the mud, nor do they have any knowledge on how to fix it. The secret to improving your mixes is understanding fundamental character. Now, without being a nerd, fundamental character is the frequency range where your sound gets its quote-unquote body from. For example, you can hear the punch in this kick until I pass about 200 Hertz with this filter. After that, it loses its power, its characteristic tone, its fundamental character. So we could say that the fundamental for this sound is around 200 Hertz. It's the same with the snare once I start pushing past 250 Hertz. And you can even notice that in Piku's melody, once I start pushing past 300 Hertz, it sort of loses all of its body. Now, you may have noticed that the fundamental character is consistently around 200 to 300 Hertz. This isn't always the case, but it happens often enough that you can kind of use it as a rule of thumb. So the way to use this information to your advantage is figuring out which sounds you want to have the most body in your particular session, and that'll be your main sound. Then you just adjust all the other sounds around the fundamental character of that main sound. So for this beat, if I wanted the low end to punch a little bit more, I might bring in some EQ dips on the top line sounds between 200 Hertz and 300 Hertz. And then a little bit on the melody too, around the same frequency range. While giving a slight boost to all the bass sounds at around 200 Hertz. Now, if you made it this far in the video, trust me when I say you finna be making better beats than 90% of people out there if you start using these tips. But making good beats is easier said than done because many producers forget one important thing. You need to practice. But it's even worse though, because knowing you need to practice doesn't mean you're gonna do it the right way. And practicing the wrong stuff the wrong way is almost as bad as not practicing at all. So if you wanna learn the exact practice structure I use to improve my beat making, check out this video here.